Welcome back, folks. MTG Joe here, and we're going to be playing some more Standard 2022 today. And what we have is a Simic ramp, a Simic Cyclone Summoner deck. So I've seen some variations of this deck on the ladder. Basically what you're trying to do is ramp up and then cast Cyclone Summoner when it enters the battlefield. If we cast from our hand, we return all permanents to their owner's hand except for giants, wizards, or lands. And what we're doing here is basically just resetting the board with a 7/7 on our side. So it's a really big tempo swing for us. And the rest of the deck is really a tempo deck. We have Into the Royal as well as Divide by Zero, which can bounce and just kind of keep us alive till we get to 7 mana. We have Ramp in the form of Netherwinter Dryad. So this is something we can block and then pay 2 mana to sack to find a land. Prosperous Innkeeper can gain us some life, but also creates a treasure. There's not many search for land style effects, like Cultivate would be, Wolf Willow Haven. Those have all rotated out, so we don't have those type of options. We have Eureka Moment to kind of do its growth spiral impersonation, put lands into play. Quandrix Cultivator can go ahead and search us up lands as well. And then we have kind of our win conditions. We have one Imrith, Desert Doom. We have one Mordekainen that can give us some card advantage in creatures. 4 Alrund's Epiphany. Just you're going ahead on mana. This is probably the best thing you can do for 6 or 7 mana, depending if you foretell. The Cyclone Summoners, like I mentioned, and a couple copies of Coma. So really, the first few turns of the game, we're ideally going to be ramping, and then it's just like 6 drop, 7 drop, 7 drop, 7 drop, kill you. I tested this once and I chained 3 turns together and just killed the opponent that way. Mana base wise, some Faceless Havens, and then 1 Hall of the Storm Giants. We may want to switch after some games to get off the snow mana and then play some green creature lands as well, the Hydra land. But we will give it a shot, see how it plays out, and go from there. Also, sorry to mention, we do have a learn board, or lesson board. Thanks to Divide by Zero, so Environmental Sciences, Containment Breach, some Pest Summonings, and then 1 of each of the colorless effects. The wish boards are going to be pretty standard for these. Really, the variable is just like what's your splash color. You're generally going to have your colorless spells in there, and then either like Containment Breach if you're in green, or the like Exile one in white, or in the Academic Probation. The black one, we can have the Planeswalker one, or the Sacrifice, or Exile Creature to Exile permanent. So this hand's kind of tempo-y. We could eventually kick these as well, which is pretty nice. I think we're keeping this. This can keep us alive for a few turns. The nice thing, Into the Royal can also target your own creatures, so if they want to use removal. So this is likely to mirror control, so this hand is better suited against more like creature heavy versions, but this is actually good because we can Divide by Zero with it on the stack, a spell. Cyclone Summoner is not going to have too much to actually target. So depending what they do here, we could just Divide by Zero it back to their hand. So now, depending what they play out, we have an option to bounce. If this is the draw card, I'm going to bounce it to their hand. I think we just let this die. We're just trying to tempo here. Blue here. The deck's heavier on blue, so I could summon her next turn, and then we get to reset this Prosperous Innkeeper. They have missed some lands, so I think we're doing this, putting it back, and we'll go ahead and get. So Mascot Exhibition is like the bigger play, but playing I think we're just gonna go like, we want to find Coma. So that basically tempoed them for the turn. I think hitting a land drop here is probably okay. Sure. Again, I'd rather keep the blink up. I guess we could have bounced to our turn. Interesting they're doing this main phase. Go try it here. These are likely counter spells, so I just don't want to play these cyclones into a counter spell. Also, it bounces our treasure. I think we're just gonna pressure right now. Because even if they all runs Epiphany, I could... That's fine. Like, each of these removals is just beneficial to us. It's one less that they'll have for Coma or Cycler, whatever it is. Okay, divide by 0 is nice. Gives us a virtual counter spell, or like tempo spell. I need him to play something out so I can into the Royal-It. Jawari's interesting, something to keep in mind. We want to play around. So not the most riveting match. Our hand was very suited, and like how I built the deck was like for creature decks. So this might bait a counter out. So look at Pest Summoning here. Because they can go Liliana again, and then I could just bounce it and draw a card. If they have something like Crippling Fear or Soul Shatter, I can just ramp. We have one more. Blood on the Snow. Sure. Let's get the last land. We're just like a Coma away from kind of going off. Sorry about that. Perfect. And even if they try to kill it here, I can just bounce it back to hand. Now we're pretty well protected. Like Liliana can minus here.
You really want to fight me?
So I'm not going to kick this in case they have a counter spell. Yeah, perfect. Because now I can take this out.
You'll learn the power of death.
Or we'll just do this. That works. So I could play like the Cycler that turn, but then it bounces these. I want them to have to answer these. Notably, we can't get rid of this. We're just gonna give this indestructible. Cool. So they might have had some sort of effect, but... So that game, we didn't get to do the Psych Learners. We drew a bunch, but Dimir control is not really something you want to bounce their stuff. We kind of tempoed them out with the Lilianas, we recycled our Comas, and then the big Serpent laid a beating. This sounds fine. Some nice ramp here. Do this, ramp this into Quandrix. This is probably the Sultai deck that Crokies was playing today. To my understanding, they don't play counter spells. Yeah, Emergent Sequence. So let's just get ahead on lines here. Could have a removal spell. Probably another island here. Because the next turn I can hold up both of these. If we draw an untapped land, I can also Epiphany. Actually, what we're probably going to do this turn, yeah, especially if that's Epiphany, we're going to foretell this and then have Divide by 0 up. Would prefer if we had an untapped line so we could Eureka Moment if needed, but this can get us ahead hopefully. Then we'll get probably just Mascot Exhibition here. Hitting for 5 here, yeah. Boom. Look at us. We are the ramp deck. So Emergent Sequence was a card I was considering, but I was playing it a bit in the Naya Landfall deck, and it just exposes your lands to be being killed by anything. Like green has the fight spells, there's just a lot of interaction that I found. That you kind of just have them die. Like I'd rather it just pull the line, like 2 mana pull the line into play, I'd prefer over that. Sounds probably fine. Obviously can't do this turn 1, but turn 2, Innkeeper into Dryad off the treasure. So we still get 3 mana of spells by turn 2. Okay. It's kind of annoying with this because they'll get a token behind if we target. There's these green-white tokens. If anything here, they target the Prosperous Innkeeper with a fight spell. Okay. Warhound for no value. So this is actually pretty good because I can, if they have a fight spell, ooh, this is actually really good. Because this means they probably put it on the Warhound. And then I'll do this. Get Containment Breach. I can double block, takes them off that creature as well. Because they'll get ahead on a land here, but this gives me a blocker now. It's pretty good because this gets them a land, and then they can environmental sciences. They could also science. Probably just on Eureka moment here. Toski. I think given Toski... Okay, we take a hit this turn, I think. Obviously, had we known, we were going to draw exactly land into Dryad. Okay, so here... I can make a dog. I think what we're doing is this. Just playing out Dryad here. If they attack with both, I can throw a block in the way. Because I'm going to take an extra turn and then drop Mordecai in. It's actually not bad. Tempo-wise. Yeah. Brushfire's in the format. So we'll take 3 here. Take this off the table. So I can Mordecai in, make a token, but I think I'd rather have more cards in hand. Yeah, and then we just coma here. That should be GG. I wanted to hit the Cycloner, but we just haven't hit it. And like, this is exactly what we've done. We've bounced their stuff, we've gone to replay stuff, kind of tempoed them out. That attack seemed good for them because they were going to guarantee to draw 2 cards, but it ended up with them basically just dealing 3 damage and losing their creature. Same with the Sparring Regiment. You know, get them to commit to attack, they target something. They go from thinking we have no good blocks to now we clear their board. And they'll probably have a hard time here dealing with Coma. And then we drop Mordenkainen. Start drawing some cards. We may have a Salter. Boom. Dex felt sweet. Alright, let's see if we could Cyclone someone. Can we do a Cyclone? It's annoying. The only game we've drawn them thus far was the game that they were the worst in, which was Dimir Control, where they just don't have creatures. but just really nice tempo plays to divide by 0 to kind of set back the foretell cards. Like, they're spending 2 mana to foretell it, thinking they're getting the discount. That game versus Sultai, we just kind of snuck ahead and got to our turn spell before them. So this hand, if we had a green, I'd keep, but given we don't, okay, we'll keep this. Probably. So I'm gonna take a chance that Dragon's better here, but we could be wrong. We got some blue-white control. Obviously, turn 1 would have been better here. Ooh, dungeons. So, room abilities you own trigger an additional time. Sure. Wow. Test of Talents. Kind of blue-white tempo. So get this other divide from 0 out of our hand, which is annoying. We do get to draw a card here. See what they go for. Double scry. So what's this one do? What's the next room? They could create 2 goblins. Oops, I clicked that a bit too fast. Honestly, I think we'll take another hit. Let's go get a green land. Then next turn we'll just start trying to tempo them with these Into the Royals. See if they go Treasure Roots. Yeah. So that could be Alrins. So we don't want to play this into another counter spell. And I want to play these out on our opponent's turn, so that way I could potentially drop the dragon. Sparring regimen. Sure. See what they learn for. Don't want to kick here, so return this. Did we get a counter out of them? I made a mistake there. So I should have waited. Until blockers were declared and then done it, because then it triggers this unblockable. So a bit of a sequencing issue on my part. So I can go Innkeeper, into Dragon. So if they have a land, they can pay the ward here. I still get a 3/2. I just want to get this out of their hand because then they're going to have a hard time dealing with Coma. They'd be able to draw 2 cards. That's fine. I can always into the Royal this or tap it down with Coma. So not quite what we want here. Doing this now so we don't get countered. Interesting block there. They might have another copy. It is legendary. Okay, wasn't expecting the Doomscar. So I'll let the attack come through this turn because I want to have an extra one in case they have Doomscar. Not too worried about this. Jeez. Okay, well, another Coma is not the best. I have this Faceless if needed. And now I can tap down both their creatures. Do that. Yeah, it turns out Coma's just still like stupidly good. We're not going to get to Cycloner at all in this set, but sure. You can Wizard's Class. Draw 2, let's... They're dead here. Sack this, tap this, tack, lethal. Alright, well, 4-0. We didn't Cyclone anyone, but turns out just ramping like hell into Coma and Dragon and Alrund's Epiphany with just some tempo elements is good enough. Let me know what you think of the deck. If you'd switch it up, probably... Like, I'd like to showcase Summoner because it is a really good tempo play. We just didn't get an option in those games, but maybe we'll come back, revisit this one later on. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And as always, if you can, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great one.